lost their jobs for little snafus like that?
I would imagine a lot. He's
Yeah.
here. He's here. Cancel the SWAT team. They have managed to locate him. I don't know if they collected the ransom money or not, but he is here.
Take down those roadblocks.
Take down the roadblocks. Call the dogs back in. Bishop Anthony Hamby has arrived. You got, yeah. Come on, there we go. I confess that I miss him when he's not here, because when other people are on the board, they don't have the rhythm, and they don't. It was somewhat frustrating because I'm so used to his rhythm now. He knows how to do stuff and start it and get everything going. And when other people are on the board, they'll shut the music off when they want to and put everything on. But I mean, it's good to have backup. But
he's a consummate professional.
He is a consummate professional.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he's He is the best sound engineer in the world, according to him. He's a legend in his own time.
He just won't let it go.
I'm not letting it go. Oops, he hit the mute button. You can't hear me now. So, for this first hour, I have to say something. I have to talk about it. Everybody's talking about it, so I think we have to talk about it. Because I can't talk about it from the pulpit. That's the first thing. I don't think discussing what happened to Charlie Kirk is for the pulpit. I really don't.
Okay.
But what am I hearing in the background? I got it. Okay. But obviously, this was a very polarizing individual, to say the least.
Yeah.
And what about him set everybody off? Was it his unapologetic view on truth? What he truly wanted to do was to have an open dialogue with people who did not agree with him. And it ultimately cost him his life because his opinions bothered people in some situations, and other people supported him. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. Good morning.
Well, there she is. So fast becoming the heart of Sound Travels.
Yes, indeed.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Sound Travels is pleased to present to some and introduce to others the heart of Sound Travels, nearer, my God, to thee, Chaplain Nera. How are you doing this morning?
I am well, a little tired, but I am well. It's a good tired.
Okay, move away from the mic.
Sorry.
That's okay. No, you can't change. Don't change this because you'll mess up Dan, and Dan's perfect. So if she moves away from the mic, I think we'll be fine.
I'm glad somebody finally has recognized my inner secrets and
I knew I shouldn't have said it. When it got out my mouth, I knew it wasn't going to get by him. I was like, oh my God, what have I done?
I'm one of those guys that if I don't toot my own horn from time to time, nobody will ever toot it.
Yes, but you understand that tooting your own horn is what's gotten you into all the trouble you've been in. So
this is true.
So let's just move on.
I come from a long line of...
That's exactly what we don't want to hear. Oh, my goodness. The FCC is going to get us yet. The FCC won't let me be. They won't. Anyway, that's a line from a song that nobody knows except for me. From an artist that nobody knows or listens to except for me, but only when I'm by myself. So I don't play around other people. Are you telling me you recognize the line from that song? No. Okay, good. All right. So we started to say that obviously, first of all, we want to send our condolences out to the Kirk family. That's the first thing we have to do. And we pray for their continued peace and comfort. And we also, want to just say, rest in peace. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But So let's talk about it, because what do you? Well, first of all, let's go around the table. Bishop, why was he killed?
Ultimately, or
Yeah. I mean, it's your mic, so talk.
okay, well, ultimately he's killed because of sin.
Okay. All right.
Okay, murder after the fall of man was the first.
Was the first sin.
Sin.
Yeah.
Okay, I must confess, I've never listened to him.
Okay.
Okay. I understand he is a polarizing individual. He has some ideas that people find questionable.
Mm-hmm.
The problem in America and in the world at large, but particularly here, is we don't seem to be able to have a conversation, a disagreement, without being grossly violent.
Okay. Hold it right there. Nera?
So I also have never heard him speak. I will be 100% honest. I have actually tried to avoid knowing as much about the situation as possible.
Wow. Okay. Brother Dan?
Well,
Okay. Well,
I'm
okay.
I was very touched by Charlie's life
Okay.
and what I consider to be his ministry.
Okay.
Because he dared to suggest that the king wasn't wearing any clothes.
Okay.
And so much of our culture gets sidetracked because, well, we can't offend this demographic, so we let them go off on tangents that just, escape reality, and nobody dares to call them out. It's like, when your wife says, "Does this dress make me look fat?" Well, if she has to ask,
So let me help you with that particular question.
Yeah.
Here's what you should never say. No, dear, the dress doesn't make you look fat. It's the fat that makes you look fat. Don't ever say that.
Yeah.
It's
However,
gonna be that kind of day.
Yes, don't ever say that.
Well, and that is a practical reality.
That's a practical reality.
Okay, we'll call that a practical reality, but it may or may not be true.
Well, then
If you say that, I hope you have someplace else to stay.
it's like if the police officer stops you and he says, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" Do not say, "Because you know I just left Dunkin' Donuts." There's just some things you don't say. That's one of them.
The drugs?
It couldn't be the drugs I just bought because you weren't around to see me do it.
That's right.
Okay. So the answer, when your wife says, "Does this dress make you look fat?" you say, "Honey, you have to understand that whatever you put on just enhances what I consider to be your natural beauty." Problem solved.
Dan, you are a trained killer. Whoa! I am in the presence of greatness, and I think he's my twin. Yes. Amen.
There's a reason he's been married for so long.
What'd you say?
There's a reason he's been married so long.
Yes, there is a reason he's been married so long.
There's
Yeah.
been a reason why I'm divorced twice.
Yes. Yes, there is.
Okay.
Has something to do with. Never mind. So, okay, I tell you what, because two of the panel have never heard him, it's not fair to have this particular conversation.
Of course it is. Let's have some fun.
Let's have some fun.
Let's have some fun.
I actually agree that it is appropriate to have the conversation because we have our reasons for not knowing or being informed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, so I have listened to him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I've listened to, I've watched, at one point in time, I didn't watch every video because he had so many. But I did make a habit of watching his debates because when I meet a person who's a great debater, I want to learn. I'm in school when I'm watching him. Ravi Zachariah, the Bible Answer Man, J. Vernon McGee. These are people who would, although J. Vernon McGee never debated anybody, he did answer questions. And when I meet somebody like that, my first response is to see what I can learn, either do this or don't do this. Merle Paulus, Rush Limbaugh, even Howard Stern. These are all people that I have studied under because they have something that I didn't have. They knew something I didn't know. So Charlie Kirk, to me, was an excellent debater because he, first of all, was polite. He never, from what I can tell, even when he was hostile, he was human. So there were times when, yes, somebody managed to get under his skin. Oh, what is the Cliff Kanicki, I think, is the other person I wanted to call. His videos are out there. These are people who are Christian apologetics, unashamedly Christian apologetics. And everybody, of course, is trying to tie him. The people who don't like you make you out to be the biggest villain, and the people who do like you make you out to be the saint. He was neither.
Right.
He was neither, because none of us are neither, are both. You know, there are times when, if you come at me with facts that I don't have, I'm going to listen to you, I'm going to investigate, and I'm going to come back after my investigation. I'm not going to argue with you from a position of stupid. At least that's my goal.
Right.
Well, there are people who argue from a position of stupid because they don't recognize or don't want to recognize basic truth. Okay? If you are born a man and you are transitioning into a woman, you are transitioning into your concept of a woman. Your DNA will always be that of a male or a female. 20 billion years from now, when your bones are dug up and they run the DNA, whatever you cut off, whatever you took out, isn't going to change the fact that your bones are going to show that you were a male and or female. And what Charlie said was just that. You can call yourself whatever you want. You can live your life any kind of way you want, but I don't have to acknowledge your position on that. I can say you're a man. No matter what you look like, no matter what you're wearing, no matter what you've done, your DNA is male.
Okay, so in that particular case, you would say that Charlie Kirk and I are in agreement.
Yes. I think when you listen to him, you're going to be in great agreement with a lot of the things he said, because he did not mince words when it came to this. He says that college is not necessarily for everyone. And it's not doing a great job, because if you look at people who come out of college, what have they truly learned for the money that they've paid? So different things like that. And people say, well, we got to speak truth to power. Why? Power knows the truth. I've never understood that line, speaking truth to power, because power knows the truth.
Well, in speaking truth to power, it is not just to tell them the truth as if they don't know, but it is to shine a light on what they do know.
Well, I get that, but here's my issue, and you and I are different on this point. You will speak truth to the police officer. You would be very defiant about the treat. If the police officer stops you and he's not 100% correct, he about to be in a war.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just no other way to put it. He about to be in a war. I, on the other hand, take the opposite tact. Yes, sir. No, sir. Thank you, sir. And I'll deal with it later.
Well, that's your line of response. Mine would be, can I help you? Why are you stopping me?
Yeah. And
if he doesn't have an articulable answer, and reasonable and lawful, am I being detained? And if his answer is yes, okay, now we have a problem. Because if I haven't broken any laws, then you have no right to stop me. You have no authority to stop me.
Well, this is exactly the issue, because I have been stopped for driving while black easily 10 times. Easily 10 times, especially when I was gigging, coming home, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning with a van full of equipment. Yeah, I got pulled over on the Mass Pike, and I asked the officer, may I know why you stopped me? Well, your license plate was loose. It was about to fall off. And I said, do you mind if I check it? He said, no, go ahead. So I get out of the van, I walk around, I grab the plate with both hands, and I tug on it, and I say, this one? And he went, well, it looked loose to me. It looked like it was flopping around to me. And I said, okay. And I went and sat back in my truck. I gave, all the paperwork, and, because I knew at that point in time, this is a DWB or a fishing expedition. Yep. It's 2:45 in the morning, a van full of equipment. I've got to be high or smoking or drunk or whatever, and he's fishing. I got that. But I didn't turn that into a bad situation. See? So I drove away. And my suspicion, you're smiling because if I had taken your tact, it could have gotten worse.
You think so?
Oh, yes. Again, I grew up in Cleveland, and when they stopped you in Cleveland, they took you out of the car, they put you in handcuffs, they put you in the back of their patrol car, and then they began to ask you questions.
Yeah.
That was exactly their procedure back then. So every black person I knew who grew up in my neighborhood or knew that it got stopped in Cleveland, that's what was going to happen. Now, granted, Cleveland didn't stop you for a lot of piddly stuff. They didn't stop you for one headlight or smoke, excessive noise or excessive smoke. The suburbs all around Cleveland took care of that. Okay. They took care of that. But when Cleveland stopped you or when they come, that's exactly their procedure. Take you out of the vehicle, handcuff you, put you in the back of the car, and then question you about whatever. And they'll release you and say, oh, okay, well, we're sorry. Well, they never said sorry. They said, okay, they'll release you and say, have a nice day. And they never said that either. So it was just, that's how they did it.
That's why I'm not going to Cleveland.
Well, I don't think they do that. They still do that to this day. But this was back in the 50s and 60s and 70s. For those of you still trying to figure out how old I am, go for it.
Yeah.
Just look at Facebook. It tells you my age on Facebook.
I was pulled over one night coming from church. I'm in a suit and tie. My wife was in her church attire. My kids were in the back seat asleep because it was late that night. We had a late night. I was pulled over. I saw the police officer in the Huddle House parking lot as I drove by. I looked down at my speedometer, and I was well within the legal range. So I look up in my rearview mirror, and here I see the blue lights following me. And I'm like, I know he's not following me.
Yeah, well, yeah, he was.
Thing was, I was driving a black Mustang with black tinted windows.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he pulled me over,
Mm-hmm.
and I rolled down my window just enough so he could see and hear me. And he looked at me and said, well, your license and registration, sir? I said, no. He said, yeah.
It's on.
Yeah. My question for him was, what are you stopping me for? Well, do you know how fast you were going? Yes, I know exactly how fast I was going, and I saw you at the Huddle House. What are you stopping me for? He peeked over and saw my wife in her dress, and my kids were in the back seat in their Sunday go-to-meeting clothes, and they were asleep. And he says, hold on, you're lucky I've got to go on a B&E. I said, yeah, go on your B&E. I'm not the one to allow you to infringe on my constitutional rights because you have a suspicion. Your suspicion is not a crime. If you think I'm a suspect that I did something, you have to be able to prove it. And if you can't, please don't stop me.
See, and like I said, I understand completely your position. In my younger day, I had done things like that.
Yeah, I still do.
I know. In Parma, I got stopped in Parma, which would be akin to getting stopped in Wellesley.
Okay.
Okay. I was driving my Falcon, which I had modified so I could put a full-size console TV in it. Surprise, surprise. Everybody who knows me, nobody is doubting that, right? Everybody who knows me knows that, right? I had a full-size console in the passenger section because I took anyway, I did it. And I had a 19-inch something black and white in the back seat.
RCA?
I don't know. Zenith, most something like that. Those are great sets. And I also had a TV sitting in the trunk with the hood slightly up and a rope holding it closed. And the police officer stopped me. And he's like, where are you coming from? And I said, people's houses. And he said, are these your TVs? I said, no. Where did you get them? People's houses. Do they know they're gone? Some of them do. Because and I just took it to the very last minute, and then I handed him my workbook, my folder, and my credentials. I'm a TV repairman, and I've been out collecting things to work on. Okay? But I literally pushed him to the very point where he was about to arrest me on suspicion and tow my car. And I realized that it's a losing proposition. Because I had a police officer tell me that once. He said, listen, wise something, I will tow your car. I will arrest you. I'll put you in jail. When you get your car back, you have to pay for it. When you go to court to argue this, I show up. I get paid to be there. All the judge is going to say is case dismissed. You are going to be out all of this amount of money, and there's nothing you can do about it. Do you still want to be a wise butt?
Yeah, I do.
And see, you do.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. I don't.
Because after I've lost time and money, and you've demoralized me to that degree and felt like you had that kind of power, I have an attorney on speed dial.
And you were going to take this thing to the end.
Oh, to the very end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And by the end of it, the money that I spent out, I'm getting it back tenfold, if not more.
All right. So we have two fundamental different opinions.
No, approaches.
Approaches, yeah.
Because if I'm pulled over and I know that I've been speeding and that has happened, when I roll down my window and I roll it, in a case like that, I roll it down all the way, not just enough for them to hear and see me.
Okay.
I roll it down all the way. Do you know how fast you're going? Yes. And I apologize. Mm-hmm. Well, your license and registration. And by that time, I already have it in my hand.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting that your militancy is only reserved for those who are being
Tyrants.
tyrants. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not going to surrender myself to a tyrant.
Okay. I mean, and I can't argue with that. I've walked away from so many things that I should have gotten, including driving my car on the sidewalk in Cambridge.
Done that too.
Yeah. And the Cambridge police officer pulled me over and he's like, "Oh my goodness." And I said, "Listen, you're absolutely right. I'm completely wrong. Please, if at all possible, if you could just write me a warning or just not give me a ticket, I guarantee." He said, "Well, you can argue that with it." No, I don't want to argue this with the judge. I'm wrong. You got me. You got me dead to rights. You know, I know cars don't belong on sidewalks. You know. He said, and I didn't even try to excuse it, even though I went on the sidewalk to get around that person who was with his thumb in his ear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but ultimately, you were wrong.
Ultimately, I was wrong as wrong could be. And
I got pulled over in Fresno, California one time for 62 and a 55 out on the highway, and
that's not excessive.
This highway patrol officer was quite animated, to say the least, and because I had stepped out of the cab.
Oh God.
And
yeah, that was not smart.
That's the way I've always done it, for their safety, so they can see me a long ways off and see that I'm not strapped.
Yeah, that's not. No.
But he got quite animated.
Yes.
And he's a younger guy, and I mean younger compared to me. I'm in my 60s, and he was probably 50.
You're still 6'3".
Well, this is true.
Okay.
But
I'm just saying.
I told him, I said, brother, there's no reason for you to be all excited like this. I said, I'm the one who's about to get a stern talking and a warning.
I love it. I love it, though.
I got a stern talking to and a warning.
Okay. And see, I would never. Look, I don't even move to get my paperwork until we're all on the same page. That's just me. Okay. I'll sit there with my hands on my steering wheel, both hands on the steering wheel, and I don't move until I said, and I'll say this, my paperwork is in the glove compartment. I'm going to get it. And most of the time the officers will say, no problem. One did say, as long as you come out with just paperwork, we'll be fine. Because he had his hand on his gun at that point.
When I took the concealed carry course in Ohio, they emphasized that if you have any interaction with law enforcement, the first words out of your mouth has to be, sir, I am carrying, or I have a loaded firearm, etc.
Yeah, you have to, and that makes perfect sense. I have a
that.
permit to carry, and I have a loaded firearm with me. And most police officers understand that, and they appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yep. I did that with the Kaufman County Sheriff's Department here in Texas, and the guy just dismissed that, blah 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 blah. You say everybody here is carrying.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, Albuquerque was the same way. Albuquerque, the police carry whatever they want to carry, and if they assume. But this was back during a time when the rifles were on the gun rack on the back of the pickup.
Well, South Carolina is still like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Arkansas.
Yeah, and Arkansas too. Okay, and not just the pickups, but people who had. I've seen them. I saw them in the back of cars.
Yeah.
I had one.
You okay? Okay. Yeah, the rifles were on the gun rack, and it was that. Yeah, everybody's packing. When everybody's packing, people tend to be a little more polite.
They do.
I don't know why.
Well, you look.
It's an anomaly,
You-
according to.
you
Sounds the point.
In the words of Sam Colt, it's an equalizer.
Yeah,
There's no big guy, no small guy.
yeah.
Yep.
You know,
In the case of Nira, no small lady.
exactly.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
everybody's packing, everybody's carrying, and when you understand that, Hollywood did what Hollywood does. Because of the Old West, we think that everybody is pulling their piece and firing it out in the streets. No,
Didn't.
that did not happen. That, according to Hollywood, there's a gunfight every 2 minutes. No. It was, you were a man or a woman, you wore a gun. And if you were a lady in a corset, you had a derringer or something, you had something. Everybody had a piece. It was what it was.
Have you ever carried a Colt on your hip?
I have not.
I have.
Have you ever carried a 357?
No.
No.
Yeah.
To carry that around every day, all day, it's going to pull your hip out of joint.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So
One of my favorite little restaurant is called the Garden Spot down in Caldwell, Texas, and not just because the owner will come around to your table and pray for you on the spot about anything you need prayer for, but she and every employee in there is open carry.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
it's the safest place in the world to
Yeah.
have you breakfast, for your lunch, or whatever,
I maintain that the school systems would be 1,000 times safer if the trained officers or trained teachers, just like there used to be a teacher who would do the paddling for the women teachers back in the day. The women could not or didn't want to, but the coach or the biggest burly guy would be the one that would administer the paddle. The principal, somebody.
Yeah.
And everybody knew that's what was going to happen. So there was, before you ran your mouth, are you willing to be paddled?
Yep.
Yeah.
So there was that. And then we got rid of all of that. And now the schools are open. The schools that do not, that say we're gun-free zones, those are the victim schools. And Charlie Kirk would say that out loud.
Where there is no discipline, anarchy reigns.
Yeah.
Yep.
How very true.
So,
Well, we've become a society that has abandoned the whole notion of when kids come home and Ma, that teacher, they did this and they did that. Well, you didn't want to do that in our day. Go home and tell your parents that you got in trouble at school because your trouble would only have just begun.
I don't know about you, Brother Dan, but by the time I got home, my parents already knew.
yeah.
Oh, that always made me so mad.
Oh,
I'd
my
never know
goodness.
who it was that I saw, but somebody always told my dad before I got home.
I knew. My principal called my parents. They knew each other personally. My principal was a preacher, and so was my dad.
Oh boy.
So if he got me at school,
You may be entitled to compensation.
yeah, I think so, or at least some medication.
Same thing, right?
Yeah. And when you have somebody that says that, and then not only says it, but challenges the people who have the contrary opinion, and then wants them to come at him the way he's coming at them. Don't bring your emotion to the fight. Bring your facts.
Bring facts, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have to stand in awe at people in that business, regardless of which side of the aisle they're on. I don't have that talent to be able to just talk over people, and Charlie was very good at not doing it and still stating his facts quickly. I can't get it out there that quick. I will not talk over people. It's just I can't do it.
Let me say this now. You've been a part of Sound Travels for a few years, more so this past year more than any other year.
Yeah.
And you've gotten way better at responding. You still do the pregnant pause, which we're working on.
Yeah.
But you're way better at it than you were, and Nira is just a natural. So
Yes,
she,
she is.
she does
She
not
most
need.
certainly is.
She didn't need any coaching whatsoever, other than to back away from the phone
Yeah.
or get a better phone. One of the two, because she breaks up. The mic breaks up when she gets excited. So.
Yeah.
And I'm not a debater.
And you're not a debater. And the same thing I had to talk with you about is you've got to speak faster.
I'm not a debater.
But you've come a long way as well. And I don't know what y'all want me to do other than shut up most of the time.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Go on.
I just think that I'm looking at Pastor Wall. He's like, you don't really want to know.
You really want to know.
You really want to know what we want you to do. It starts with shut and ends with up. But what I'm saying is that there's a particular skill to this, and everybody has to find their niche, their style. I've been told that I am difficult to debate because I have a clue. I've been told that, especially about things I know about. Also, because when I don't know something, I'm not going to argue with you about something you know and I don't. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, let's take a look at some debaters. Okay, you've mentioned quite a few of them. And my take has always been this. Just because you can say it quicker than I can, just because you say it louder than I can, does not necessarily make you right.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, the emptiest wagon makes the most noise.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so just because you can shout at me and just because you can emote and cry and all this stuff, no. I was speaking to you about this yesterday. I'm not going to mention his name because he doesn't need me to hype him. He's hyped himself. The pastor that it's come on and from his pulpit denounced Charlie. And my first response is, that's not where you do it. You don't bring that type of comment. The pulpit is for doing your job. And your job is go into all the world and preach the gospel. That's your job. Political figures, political concepts, those things, the pulpit, that's not the place for the pulpit, to me.
Well, Charlie was also, and I would say equally, a proponent of the gospel of Jesus Christ.
He absolutely was.
He never missed an opportunity to identify himself as a follower of Christ, and he would state why. You know, so I don't know that I agree with you that it doesn't belong in the pulpit.
Yeah,
because it does affect us all as Christians.
Well, let's define what exactly belongs in the pulpit.
The preaching of the gospel for sure. But let's remember that if it were not for the pulpit, the civil rights movement would have never had the impact that it did.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But the civil rights and the American revolutions were gross miscarriages of justice, not based on an ideology per se. In other words, slavery is wrong. No one is going to argue that slavery is correct, but we do need to have a proper understanding of what slavery is, because when the Caucasians of the era told the black slaves that God said that slaves should obey their masters, they were clearly twisting the scripture and twisting the concept clearly. So yes, it would be
how were they twisting it?
Well, the slavery that the American slaveholders held was a slavery that demeaned the individuals, that forced the individuals to lose their humanity. Slavery in the Bible, for the most part, was glorified. It was a glorified job. It was indentured servitude, where somebody would be paid a certain amount of money for a certain period of time in which they would work. Or when a conquering country, a conquering king took over an area, he would, quote unquote, enslave the people. But those people almost always had their own lives. They didn't have.
They had some semblance of rights.
They had some semblance of life and responsibility for themselves. However, they're ultimately the slaves, which is why the slaves, even when we deal with the slaves that Moses came to free, the fact that these people had their own homes, their own lives, would indicate that the slavery was not the slavery that America suffered.
Yep.
Bishop?
The scripture says that they suffered under a hard taskmaster.
Yes. We're not discounting that,
No.
by the way.
I believe that slavery of every sort is wrong.
It is, no question.
But it was preached from the pulpits. The scripture was used, servants, obey your masters, for this is right for you. Mm-hmm. What does that indicate? One, that's God recognized slavery in humanity exists. Two, if you're going to declare yourself a Christian and you are in slavery, you have a responsibility to God first.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay? It wasn't to say that slavery was right. It was to say that you have a responsibility to God during your slavery.
And remember what, and you scholars are going to jump on me. Remember what the slave was told who ran away. Go back and be reconciled to your master. Mm-hmm. But the master was told you are to treat him as a brother, which means he has to come back and make right what he did wrong, but you have to free him because what you are doing does not allow you to have a slave. So everybody had to do their part in that situation, but that was never taught.
Why?
Because it would get in the way of the horrendous practice of slavery in America.
I dare say that every culture has its own form of slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Because slavery naturally happens when you have an unequal set of power,
Right.
an unequal set of abilities. You know, slavery is going to be the natural mode of humanity because we are small, God is big. That's a natural thing for us as humans. Therefore, we then get it twisted in whatever way, and then you have tyranny.
Yeah. When we take a look at what should or should not be said from the pulpit, the Bible covers a broad range of subjects and ideas and thoughts. But chiefly it points to the existence of God, his salvation through Jesus Christ, and how we ought to entreat him. When we stand in the pulpit, and let's take a look for a moment. Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated for his stance and for his preaching. So was Malcolm X. When we consider what they said, how they said it, you would think that a man who presented like Dr. King would have been embraced. Malcolm was abrasive, but but quite educated at the same time. And still they suffered the same fate. There are those in our society, no matter what side of the fence you stand on, once you stand up, they want to put you down. And some will resort to the ultimate violence to get you to shut up.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going to use the pulpit for anything, it should be first to preach the gospel, but it is also to enlighten and to teach and to encourage and to inspire our fellow man to be better today than we were yesterday, and to strive to be our best selves in the future. So.
Yeah. Hey, can we?
Person, my not daughter coming. So let her in, please. She has to go with me.
Can we get the link up on the Facebook page? I got people
working on that right now.
Okay.
I
All
literally
right.
just sent you that right now.
Oh, okay.
I would say on the subject of the pulpit, I love movies, I love historical dramas, things like that. And I honestly think it is summed up best by a quote from the movie The Patriot.
Mm.
And they go into the city and they're looking for men to fight. And the Reverend, he's speaking against Benjamin's son, and all this stuff goes on. And eventually he takes off his wig, he steps down from the pulpit, and he says, "A shepherd must tend his flock, but at times he must also fight off the wolves."
Yes.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite movies.
Okay.
Mel Gibson.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Love it.
No argument. No argument whatsoever. So,
But I want to have one.
well, you can certainly have one. You'll have the reins soon enough.
You've listened to Charlie Kirk over the years, right?
I have.
Tell me something that you would think he has said that's controversial.
When he tells, controversial to me or controversial to everybody else, because the only thing there was nothing that he said was controversial for me. Everything he said was exactly the way I thought of it when it came to that particular subject, because it was logic and reason. And whether I like it or not, I strive for logic and reason.
Okay.
And that has sometimes made people think that I was cold and unemotional. Well, there are times when, yes, I am cold and unemotional, because that does not solve the problem. I have a flat tire. Crying about it is not going to change the tire.
No, it's not.
Okay. She's here. Okay. So when it comes to exactly what it is that he has said, I don't think anything he said was controversial, because I think it was correct.
Okay.
You see what I mean? I don't think the Bible says things that are controversial, because the Bible says things that are correct.
Right.
But the problem is the interpretation. When I have a friend or an acquaintance who I deal with and we talk on occasion, who has transitioned into, he was a male transitioned into a female. And it's the first thing I had to learn, that in talking with him, they have their own language. And when you have your own language, you can make it be whatever you want it to be.
Right.
So if I'm going to talk to you, I have to learn your language. Otherwise, we can't talk. The problem is your language sometimes doesn't follow logic and reason to me. Okay?
At the risk of sounding cold here,
Yeah.
and this is with all respect to Chaplain Nera, and also to the LGBTQ community. I don't want to be offensive, but this may sound offensive. I have yet to see a male-born individual transitioned or not, or is in the process of transitioning. Simply because you identify as something does not make you that particular thing. Okay? I can identify as a billionaire.
You ain't.
No,
Yeah.
not even close.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can barely spell it, let alone be it.
Well, I can spell it. That doesn't mean that I am it.
Okay.
And that's the problem. We're calling the things that are wrong right and the things that are right wrong, and we're compromising because we don't want to offend anyone. But if you don't offend someone, you're going to offend yourself.
If you don't offend someone, you're going to offend God.
There. That's what I'm pushing to.
Okay. Sorry. Should let you get there.
I have not yet, at my age, gone through menopause. I don't expect that I ever will.
Been through it 4 times. It's a highly overrated experience.
You know?
And you see, I've been through it once myself.
Okay.
And
Let me know how that worked out for you.
because I have a partner who was a natural woman. So she had monthly occurrences and reminders that she was female. And then when they stopped, she went through menopause. Now, because the woman I chose is, I would consider a real woman, she never, ever used her monthly occurrences as an excuse or a reason for anything. I'm blessed. I get it. There are guys out there going, "Oh my God, how'd you find her?" I'm blessed.
I'm stunned, Dan. I'm stunned.
She just did not. She just did not believe in these type of things.
It's
So-
simply a fact of life.
Exactly, and because of that, her menopausal times were equally as accepting. It doesn't mean that she didn't have the flashes and didn't have the mood swings, but they were not wielded against me as a weapon. Is what I'm trying to say.
I'm blessed in that manner too.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say. So when it comes to these type of things, man, I'm telling you, I cannot be who I was. And because we've been together so long, I guarantee you I'm not the 16-year-old boy that first fell in love with her. Because
No, you're not.
Because at the point, I didn't fall in love. I fell
In
in
lust.
lust. Now, it grew to love. Clearly, it grew to love. But that didn't happen